could you guess? Could you guess that? Because boy, oh boy, this has been a trial to me. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's working. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you can all hear me. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I'm on YouTube, Twitter, and at least 2 Facebook pages. Keep my fingers crossed. And if you can hear me, nobody's responding right now, so I'm a bit worried about that. I can't see anybody responding, or I can't see anybody sort of coming up with any questions yet. So that would be good, even if it's just saying hello. If you are out there, you think I'd know, wouldn't you? I know that some of you are thinking, I thought she was supposed to be sidekick, and yeah, but until we start to get questions, I'm not sure if it's working. And so, oh, there we go. So let's see. I've got Chris Benevento here with me. Chris, can you see? We've got lots and lots of things coming in. I see and hear. Hello.
I do see, Rosemary.
And can hear you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yes, you're all coming in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. There must be some sort of a delay when you do these things. Anyway. All right, so yes, this morning is story time. But before we go into story time, before I start to tell the story, I will remind you that we will have time, hopefully, for a Q&A. I will be answering some questions. I have noticed, though, and for those of you who are from foreign countries, there's no point in writing a question in your own language, because we won't understand what it is that you're saying to us. So please, 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 could you please, 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 please write to us in English. And I know you can put it through Google and they'll translate automatically for you. So if you could do that, that would be very much appreciated. Right. You're looking at the background, are you, all of you? Those of you who've seen me before, you're wondering, where am I? And you might wonder, because I am in New York City. I flew into New York from Florida. I can hear some of you saying, you did what, Rosemary? You got on a plane with all of this awful stuff going about? I got on a plane on, when was it? Thursday, I think. Wednesday or Thursday, I've lost track of time. And it was amazing, really. I went with Delta, and I love Delta. They're a great airline, and you always get pretty good deals with them too. And so I came on Delta, and there were 17 passengers on the plane. I was very surprised that actually Delta flew, because they must have lost money in that flight. It's got to cost an awful amount of money to fly, a big plane like that. So thank you to Delta. My grandson thanks you, Delta. In fact, for some reason or another, it makes me laugh, my little boy. He's always felt that Delta was his very favourite airline, and we're not quite sure why anymore, but that's the way it is. So I'm in New York City. It's a bright and sunny and a beautiful day. My daughter and my grandson were out of the house at 7 this morning. They've gone swimming this morning, and then hopefully they'll be back soon. Yesterday, Reese and I made, of course, his very favourite. We made chocolate-covered shortbread, and then he made his own little shortbread volcano, and he put Nutella right in the middle of it, so it looks like it's a volcano bursting out with Nutella on the top. He thought that was really yummy. We had such a good time. He rolled out the pastry. He helped me make the pastry. He loves putting the butter in the flour and all of that stuff. And then, of course, he was the one who dipped the biscuits in chocolate. I should say, the cookies, whatever it is you call them, the shortbread, we dip them in chocolate. And so we're now going to be eating those and getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And my daughter is so annoyed with me because she's on a diet, and she's saying, it's not fair to make this stuff. But who do I please? Do I please my grandson, or do I please my daughter? It's a no-brainer for me. Grandson gets it. or every single time, and my daughter wouldn't have it any other way. And today I'm going to make a nice creme patissiere, which might have a bit of chocolate in there as well. You never know. We're going to get fatter and fatter by the minute. So here I am in New York City, and I'm going to tell you a story that happened quite a while ago. Of course, all of my stories are true, as you well know. So we'll begin with Once Upon a Time. So once upon a time, as all good stories must begin, I was in Hong Kong, and I was invited to go on a very, very well-known radio show. And the girl who interviewed me was fantastic. She was a smashing girl. And she sort of interviewed me, and we talked about what I do. We talked about healing. And then at some point, I went on her show a few times, and at some point I offered that if somebody could find us a place, a clinic or a I don't know, a conference room or something, that I would absolutely be willing to give healing, because my organisation and we have never charged for healing ever. Me personally, I've never charged for healing. So I put it out there, and somebody called in and volunteered a space, and so we got it all set up, and it was quite astounding, really, because I expected just a few people to come along, and when I arrived, it was packed. It was packed to the gills. It was absolutely crowded. So there were too many patients for me to see to individually. So we did collective, what I call a collective healing, which works really, really well. And it was just really, really great. It was a great experience. And we did many of these actually because I was in Hong Kong several times, and we did many of these healing sessions for people. All right, so on one of these sessions, and this is where our story begins, a lady came to see me. Her husband brought her. She was fairly hysterical. Before I continue now with this story, we talk about mind power. When we send out healing, and we send out healing into the universe, we send out our healing prayers, we send out our thoughts. Those thoughts go out into the universe. And as they go out there, they gather the same type of energy that we send out at the beginning. So if it's good energy, if it's positive energy, if it's healing energy, as that thought goes along and bounces through the universe to reach its target, which is a patient, in my case, when it reaches its target, it's become sort of much more powerful, because it has gathered along the way all of that like energy, all of that positive, powerful like energy. Now, as always happens with our thoughts, they go out into the universe. As I've said, they gather all that good stuff. They hit the person they are meant to do. They surround that person with the energy that you're sending out. It's very effective. And then, as all energy that we send out, it returns back to its source, which in this case is me. So if I'm sending out healing to any of you out there, the thoughts are going around. They're bouncing around. They're hitting their target, and then they're coming back, and the same thing is happening. Collective energy, the same type of energy. So actually, even though I'm sending out my healing energy to other people, actually what is happening is, whatever they get, I'm going to get tenfold. So as you're sending healing to other people, you're also giving healing to yourself. It's a win-win situation. So now we know how energy works. What happens if that energy is not such good energy? What happens when that energy is negative energy, or in some cases even evil or dark energy? The same applies. It's the same process. It's the same premise. The same thing applies. That dark energy goes out, gathers more dark energy, and on it goes. And so I get people all the time emailing, calling to ask, what do I do? I feel as if I've got a negative energy in my house. I don't know how to get rid of it. There are easy ways to get rid of these things, by the way. So anyone out there who's having an issue, there are things that you can do. You can do a cleansing as the Native Americans used to do using sage. And if you want to know more about that, please go on to Google. You'll find it on Google. You know, there are lots and lots of things that you can do. Lots of people often will get in a priest or a parson or a vicar or whatever. Lots of people have, over the centuries, in fact, have had these issues because it's ridiculous to suppose that everything is good and everything is light, isn't it? We know that there are dark forces at work. So now we're back in Hong Kong. I'm going to bring you right back into Hong Kong and into this sort of makeshift clinic that we had going. And this lovely lady, she was maybe in her early to mid 30s, if I remember, very pretty. And her husband, and they were distraught. They were absolutely distraught because they had been told, she had been told that there were two entities in her head, a good entity and an evil entity, and they were battling for supremacy. Would the good win over the bad, or would the bad win over the good? Now, she'd gone to see this, I don't know what you'd call her, medium, healer, whatever you might want to call her. She'd gone to see her because she'd been having headaches, and she thought that this person could help her with her headaches. And when this person sort of looked at her and she put her hands on her, oh yes, she said, and this is the prognosis. You've got these two entities inside of your head, and they're battling away, and this is causing you headaches. So you need to pray, you need to come and see me on a regular basis, on and on and on it went. So this went on for several months, and apparently the headaches didn't get any better. And then all of a sudden she was told, this lovely young lady, she was told by this person, oh, well, now there's a third entity that is in your head. So now there's a third person, there's a third entity battling inside of your head to try to take control of you. Now, let's stop for a minute. Let's pause for a minute. Is it actually possible that somebody can actually, that an entity can actually control you? Is it really possible? And the answer is actually yes, it is. There is an amazing story in a book that Peter Sellers, all of those of you who are British watching here, you'll know the name Peter Sellers, and hopefully many of you in America will know the name. Very, very famous guy. And it wasn't Peter Sellers. The book was written by Michael Bentine. The reason I'm thinking Peter Sellers is because they were all part of the Goons, and Michael Bentine, along with Peter Sellers, was one of the Goons, as was Harry Seacombe, and I can't remember who else. Anyway, Michael Bentine, very famous, very, very clever man, wrote a book, and the book is called A Door-Marked Summer. And Michael tells a story about his father, and Michael Bentine's father was actually a medium and used to have many seances, used to have many meetings in his house, which Michael was privy to. And one of the stories in there is an amazing story, which I totally believe, which illustrates how an evil entity can, if you allow it in, and this is the trick, if you allow it in, if you allow it to take root, it can literally take over your mind and it can take over your life. The key is if you allow it. Now, what had happened with this lovely lady is, we're back to Hong Kong again, what had happened to this lovely lady is that she had believed that this woman, she had believed everything that she said, that there were two entities. Now there are three entities, and her headaches were getting worse. She wasn't sleeping, she was having nightmares. Her husband was involved in all this as well, and they were at the end of their rope. Absolutely, totally did not know what to do. And they were at the point of, she sort of gone to the doctor, she'd gone all over the place trying to get this fixed, still kept going back to this lady who told her about these three entities fighting inside of her. They were now talking that maybe she was emotionally in need of psychiatric help, and they were even thinking about the fact that perhaps they should put her into a mental institution where she would get help. And this young woman was on the verge of agreeing to this, and her husband was desperately not wanting this to happen, but at the same time they didn't know what to do about it. So they brought her to me. Now, you would think this might be a simple issue, but it's not a simple issue. And I tell you why it is not a simple issue. If you believe that something is, if you believe that something is going to happen to you, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can make it happen. The mind is a very powerful, powerful thing. If someone believes because some person she didn't even know beforehand, with no credentials whatsoever, told her you got these two entities, and if you're told enough you can believe these things, then it is not a simple solution. It really is not simple. You believe it and it becomes. And our minds, can be fragile in this way. If something is happening to us and a doctor says, and this has tell this story in one of my books, the doctor says, you've got cancer, you've got 3 months to live. And 2.5 months later, when the man is now dying in his bed, convinced he's got cancer, the doctor has to come and say, whoops, I made a mistake. There's another guy in our surgery, same name as you. He's the one with cancer and you've got an ulcer. But that man, having been told he was dying and having been told that he had cancer, was dying, had lost weight, couldn't eat, had all the symptoms of a cancer patient, and no doubt would have died on the 3-month mark had the doctor not come and said, oh dear me, we're sorry, we've made a mistake. The mind can be manipulated. The mind can be convinced of all sorts of things happening. And in this particular case, this poor woman was completely convinced now that she got all these entities within her. I mean, how creepy is that, to think that and to have to feel that? That's creepy. So she was convinced that, wow, this is going on and they're sending me crazy. So I sat her down and I talked to her. And of course, I have my spirit guide, Gregel, who, boy, if he doesn't know it, I'm lost. Because if I don't know and he doesn't know, well, then we can't help you. So I asked him to help me to figure this out. And it turns out that this woman who she'd been to see was quite fond of telling all sorts of patients, yeah, the problem with you is you've got these entities going on inside of you. Because what happens when you tell somebody that, there's something wrong with you, you want to go back to that person for help again and again and again and again. So, it's one way of keeping a customer, it's one way of keeping a patient, isn't it? Telling people, look, you've got this that's happening, but there's only me can help you. Well, here I turned up in Hong Kong and she found someone else. And unfortunately, and it was so sad, there was nothing wrong with this woman except that she got trouble with her eyes and she needed to have glasses. And why anybody didn't diagnose that when they were looking at her and she was talking about these awful headaches that she was having. And so Gregel and I, between us, we were able to tell her, the first thing you must do is go and get your eyesight sorted out and get some glasses. And the second thing is we need to deal with what is going on with you. So with a lot of time and a lot of patience and a lot of help and understanding, I was able to help this couple to understand there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You do not have these evil entities, good and bad, fighting each other. You do not have this going on inside of you. You have been convinced, and the person who has been convincing you is obviously really good at it, but it is not true. It isn't true. You are perfectly fine, perfectly healthy. Now, on this particular trip, I was in Hong Kong for about 2 months. And by the time we were done, that lovely woman was a happy, healthy, and then extremely pregnant and happy and healthy, lovely lady. And her husband was thrilled to bits. And everything turned out great. But it doesn't always turn out great. So, you know, we have to be aware that, again, I'm going to say, the mind is a fragile thing. It is so easy to believe that things are happening when they're not. It's so easy to believe that there's danger around every corner if you grow up with a mother who is neurotic and tells you that there's danger around every corner. It's so easy, as in another case of mine, with a fabulous young man who was told that men are evil, all men are evil. And he was told that when he was a little boy by his mother. His grandmother tried to stop it, but it didn't work out. His mother had had a very bitter divorce. And of course, this young man grew up, you know, from a little boy to a man. He'd been brainwashed into believing that men are evil. And he consequently tried to commit suicide on several occasions. Massive cry for help. And that's another story. Maybe I'll tell you that story at another time in more detail. But the mind is a fragile thing, and it's easy for us to believe that we're in danger. It's easy to believe that there are evil entities that are trying to attack us. There are simple remedies. If that is happening to you, please email me, rosemary@rosemaryatea.com, because I will give you the remedy that you need. And the remedy really is all about prayer and about belief and having faith. And not just having faith, but being able to live your faith and to being able to trust in God and to trust in that higher power that is all around us. When I went back to Hong Kong the next time, that couple, they became groupies a little bit. They were so happy, they were so thrilled that I was able to sort stuff out for them. And of course, so was I. But I felt that this story also was very relevant to what's happening today, because the media is scaremongering about the stuff that is going on. People are believing things that aren't necessarily true. So, you know, this story is a sort of a little bit of a cautionary tale for all of us too. Be careful what you believe. Just because somebody tells you that it's so doesn't mean that it is. Just because a doctor in a white coat with a stethoscope says to you, "Oh, you know, you're dying," doesn't mean that it's true. Be your own advocate in all things, and always question. I learned many years ago, especially with the medical profession, with lawyers. You know, we tend to think of these people as superior beings. They know much more than we know. Well, the lawyer told us, so it must be true. Well, this is the law, so it must be true. But why then do, in the law courts, people battle all the time? Because one person sees the law one way and another person sees the law another way. So before you believe anything that anybody tells you, including me, please, including me, I always include myself in that. I think I would advocate for all of you to try, if you can, to be a little bit skeptical, be open-minded, but be skeptical. And just because somebody tells you it's so doesn't mean that it is. The end. As all good stories must end, the end. That is the end of my story. I know we've got tons of questions and tons of comments, Chris. I've got my friend Chris here with me. We hope we're streaming. We hope we're doing a good job. We think we are. We think we've cracked it, but I'm not totally sure. But anyway, so Chris, over to you. What have you got for me there?
You have all of your Facebook friends and your YouTube friends, and some are actually hopping from Facebook to YouTube and trying out this system. You've got your Italian friends and your friends from Holland. You've got your Tulsa friends. So everybody's basically saying, "Good morning. It's great to see you. Thank you for the story."
Before we start with the questions, Chris, because there are so many of you, and our time is, of course, limited. And Chris, I'm relying on you to keep a time check on everything, if you would. if you could just ask one question, I know you've got dozens. If we'll take a question one at a time, and if there's time at the end of this story time, if there's time, then we'll go to second questions, and if there's time, then we'll go to third questions. You never know what we're going to be doing. So, Chris, okay, so you're in charge now, putting Chris. I'm not in charge anymore. And if Chris believes that, she's got another thing coming. And you know, the joke is that I'm not in charge either, because Grey Eagle is in charge, and Grey Eagle is always standing to my right side, and he's laughing at me. So really, he's in charge. So Chris, why don't you pretend to be in charge, and let's have some questions and comments, shall we?
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with the first, sort of a combination question comment from Peace on YouTube. Hi there, I'm at a women's shelter due to my husband leaving me destitute. One of the ladies here has a disrespectful, vindicative, oh my goodness, I can't talk, vindicative streak.
Vindicative
Today
streak.
Polite assertiveness. I struggle with this. Do you have any help for her?
Here is the best thing I can say to you. Who is this? This is Pete?
Peace.
Okay. She's a ghost. Don't see her. Don't hear her. Move past her. Don't get tangled up with her. Don't get tangled up with her issues. I think healing thoughts for her, because she's obviously a very, very unhappy person. But if you can't get on with someone in an environment like yours, and I'm so sorry for your situation right now, but I do know it's going to get better for you. I know that. But in that situation, you know, it's much better if you know, see, I don't believe in ghosts, so I can say to you, just pretend she's a ghost, because I believe in people who are very much alive and well and in the spirit world, who come and talk to me. So when I say she's a ghost to you, what I'm really saying is, don't see her, don't connect with her, just move past her as much as you can. Put a barrier between you and try and just keep away from that kind of energy. And at the same time, if you can build on your own energy, thinking loving thoughts, using the colors, you know, the healing energy, the colors blue, the colors pink, the colors gold. Think of those colors. Visualize yourself wrapped in a blue bubble, or wrap yourself in a bubble that is rainbow colored, bright and vibrant. And every time you go near her, visualize yourself in a bubble. You won't change her, unfortunately, but if you try any way to interact with her, or to sort of tackle her in any way, or even just be nice to her, it seems that she's a person who is not ready yet to be able to take that, and that's her issue, and it shouldn't be yours. So try the visualization, and just let her be a ghost to you. That's the best thing I can tell you to do. Chris.
Bright Star is asking, how is Cachorro?
Oh, good morning. Cachorro is with Michelle, and I just spoke to her a few minutes ago. Apparently, she says he's as lively as vinegar. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think it means that he's doing really, really well. You know what they say, a change is as good as a rest. And he's having a change, and he's very happy. And he loves being with Michelle, because she lets him into her bed, and she sort of, she and her husband, they pamper him, and they do all that good stuff with him. So I have no problems about leaving him there with her. And he's lost a great deal of weight, which is a good thing, because he was blowing up like a balloon, and I didn't quite know what was going on with him. So we're getting him right back to that nice trim little thing. And he's in Florida, so he's had a lovely haircut, so he's good. Thank you for asking. Keep going.
Cheryl has a question.
Morning, Cheryl.
Rosemary, when a spirit comes to the earth place, we sign a contract for the experience. Does the same go for animals?
I don't recall that we signed a contract. I'm not sure I signed a contract. you know, I know that people have different views and so on of what happens in the spirit world, but I can assure you, uh, Cheryl, you may have signed a contract. I didn't. I'm asking Greg, or do it? No, we don't. No, we don't sign a contract. What we do is we take help and advice from those who know better than we, and we, you know, and we. You know, will often agree to be placed in an environment where we can best learn and grow. But you know, there's no such thing as a contract, and there's no such thing as, I'm asking Greg again, double checking here. No, and there's no such thing as breaking a contract. So, and it so the answer about the question is moot, really, because no, I don't think we do sign contracts. But if it is your belief, I am not going to interfere with what other people believe. And we're all entitled to our own beliefs, and we're all entitled to our own way of thinking. And just because it's different than mine doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. So, but that's my take on it, Cheryl. Yeah, Chris.
Ravi is on.
Morning, Ravi.
Hi, Rosemary. Lovely to see you again. I am not happy with my corporate job. What is the purpose of my life, and how do I align with the purpose with my career?
Well, Ravi, it's your choice. You know, there are not too many things in our lives that we have choices about, but staying in a job that you don't like is your choice. Not going out there and striving to get something different or make a change, I would say, you know, sort of when you can find the courage to make the change, your life will change, and your purpose will be seen. But your purpose is not to be on this earth plane and have a miserable life. I don't believe that's the purpose of any of us, and it is our choice at the end of the day whether we do that or whether we don't. So, Ravi, there's hope for you. You don't have to put up with all the awful stuff. Just make a plan, move forward. You can do anything that you set your mind to do, Ravi. Thanks, Chris.
I am asked, could you talk about favorite colors?
I can, yes, I am. Yes, good morning. Well, my favorite color is green. It happens that my eyes are green. It happens that my daughter's eyes are green. It happens that my grandson's eyes are green. So you can see where I'm getting that from, can't you? But even when I was a child, I was drawn to the color green. Every color has its own energy. So, but also you must remember there are many different shades of every color. But generally, a calm, a nice, smooth green is the color of peace. It's the color of calm. The color blue is the color of healing. The color gold is a very spiritual color. It's the color of that God force, that God energy, that universal God energy that is out there. The color pink is the color of love. And so it depends on your energy. It depends on who you are within you. It depends on the kind of energy that your soul was created from. And if you want to know more about that, then you need to read Soul Signs, which if you want to know where to get my books and all of that from, just go to rosemary@rosemaryaterre.com and ask. But colors are very important to us, and each color is a certain type of energy, and each certain type of energy can give you things and create energy within you. For instance, if you're feeling sick, if you're feeling down and you really need a boost, then you should put on a blue sweater or wrap a blue scarf around you. If you're feeling lonely and in need of love, definitely pink is the color for you. So it depends. Colors are very important, and they have a certain type of energy which we can use to create all sorts of good things in our environment. So that's as much as I can say about that right now. Chris.
Jude Rainbow Star.
Good morning, Jude Rainbow. Gosh, what a lovely name. Yeah.
How can I best support my wee brother who's currently falling apart?
I'm guessing your wee brother is not so wee. It wouldn't be have to be Scottish, would you? There. How can you best support him? All you can do is stand by him. You know, sometimes the best support that we can give a person is to just be there for them. You know, to pick them up if they fall, but I think mostly to listen, to try and just be there and to listen. So, and I think that you're doing that, my darling. If you would like to tell me more about it and you'd like a little bit more advice, email me, rosemary@rosemaryatea.com, and I'll do my best to see if I can help you. Yeah, Chris?
Line Pellerin.
Good morning.
Is saying, is it time for me to jump in my private practice?
Well, I'm going to throw it right back at you. What do you think? Is it time? And if, as I'm saying that to you, you feel, yes, it is, then it is. You've got to listen to your soul. And I teach my students a way of listening, not just to the heartbeat of your soul, but to listen to your soul, to listen to the voice of your soul. And it's when you feel something within you and you go with that feeling that you know is just absolutely right, then that's when you jump. If in doubt, don't. Wait until you feel good about it. Yep.
Mark has a question.
Good morning, Mark.
I feel my dad visits me. One day, 2 quarters fell to the floor. The dates were 1965 and 1982, both significant. And then one just the other day, a penny with 2017. Does my home get visitors, and who are they?
Well, I think your dad is one of the visitors. And you look, why are you asking this question of me when you know, absolutely you know the answers? I think you're looking for confirmation, and I'm going to give it to you. Absolutely, yes, yes, yes. So your father is one of those visitors. But, you know, we have family. We all have family. We all have loved ones in the spirit world, even though we perhaps didn't even know them or never met them before they passed. And they come and visit us often. But how nice to have gifts. You know, when we receive gifts from the spirit world, those gifts are called apports. For those of you who want to go look it up, APPORTS, an apport. An apport is a gift sent from the spirit world. As you just said, when you described, they fall from the sky, or they just appear in front of you, or you're walking along and you look down and there's a feather at your feet. The type of feather that is relevant and particular in that moment. These gifts, they're called apports, gifts from the spirit world, gifts from our loved ones. They happen all the time, and please value them. Please, please, please value them, because they are very, very special. Yep.
Mary asks,
Morning, Mary.
Have you ever had to help a person with a real demon possession?
I have. Yes, I have. And that's another story. You mean when it isn't imagined, when somebody didn't say this is happening to you? Was it real? Absolutely. I have had to fight a demon within my own self. Talk about the fight for good and evil. But for those of you who are now getting a bit worried and a bit nervous about, you know, the dark side, I always put it this way. I always explain to people about good and evil, dark and light. So visualize you've got 2 rooms. They're side by side, and they have a connecting door in the middle. And one room is absolutely filled with light. The other room is completely black, dark, all right? So if you open the door that divides the 2 rooms, what will happen? You need to think about it. Will the dark engulf the light, extinguish it? Or will the light fill that dark room? And we know the answer, don't we? Because every single time the light will extinguish the dark. It will fill the room. It will fill a dark room. It will fill a dark space. So as long as we're always, you know, paying attention and we are of the light and we are beings of the light, which most of us are, we can always win out over those dark forces, always. We just have to understand that, our mind is the most important thing. And if you're going to believe that that dark force can battle you and win you over or whatever, then it will, because you're allowing it. But if you just flood all of those dark crevices and those dark corners, those negative ideas, those negative thoughts, if you just flood them with light and positivity, they will fade away. So we own the power. We have it in our own hands to fight the battle and to win. Good always wins over evil. Just remember the analogy, the door, the room and the door. What happens when we open the door? Light floods in, always. Chris?
Elizabetta is on.
Good morning, Elizabetta.
Hi, Rosemary. What does Great Eagle think of me? Thank you very much.
I'm not sure I've been asked that question before, Elizabetta. Let me see. Well, I'm asking him. I'm hearing the word nice, positive, very unsure. Don't look for confirmation that you're a good person from other people, Elizabetta. Believe it within your own self. In fact, Gregor says, believe it within your own heart. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. All right? We've just been talking about the power of the mind, and I'm going to ignore that. That's my grandson's phone going there, so I'm going to ignore it. Sorry about that. Yeah, but we're going to completely and utterly, not to be convinced because somebody tells us it's so. I grew up with people telling me all sorts of horrible things about me, that I was pigeon-chested, which I'm actually not, and that I was pigeon-chested and that I was ugly and all the rest of it. And, I grew up with that. And what can I tell you? I believed it. Just because somebody says it is doesn't mean it's so. Yes, Chris, keep going.
Cheryl wants to know about Animal Guide. She sees hawks everywhere.
We're actually going to be doing that in our classes very soon. We have power animals and we have power symbols. We are going to be having one of our online webinars is going to be all about power animals and power symbols and how you can find them, how you can discover them, and how you can trust them. And I'm going to show people how you can actually delve within and find your own power animal and your own power symbol. But you need to remember, it's very important, and I'll talk more about this in the webinars. It is very important to understand it's not the animal or the symbol that gives you power. They remind you of the power that you have within you. But we'll talk more about that. And if, by the way, any of you want to know more about our webinars coming up, I think the first one, we're trying desperately to get one set up for October. And if you want to know more about that, again, email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Ask to be put down. If you request to be put on our email list, we'll send you emails, perhaps 4 or 5 every month, just in a month. We don't send out tons of emails all over the place. It's, we don't do that. But if you request to be put on the emailing list, we will not put you on unless you request it. And then we can send you more information as it comes along, and we'll be sending stuff out to you as and when. So, so you might want to look forward to that. Yes, Chris.
Anisha is asking a question.
Yeah.
Does my mother Vivian come around me, and is she happy with how my life is turning out? Thank you.
It's so hard when we, it's so I could just glibly say to you, couldn't I, Anisha? Yes, of course your mother's there. I mean, and then you'd be happy with that, wouldn't you? But would it be real? Would I be actually being real? Would I be being truthful? Would I really know? But actually in this, so I don't always answer these questions because sometimes it takes a while. It takes a little bit of thought and a little bit of looking to figure it out. But Gregor has his hand on my shoulder and tells me yes and yes and yes. Uh, um, uh, and the message here is for you, my darling. Don't be afraid to step forward. You're doing really, really well. Time to spread your wings and fly. And I think your mother's going to be there to help. In fact, I know that your mother's going to be there to help you. So there you go. All right, Chris?
Shashi, Shashi. Shashi is asking.
Morning.
Namaste from India.
Namaste.
Can I be a good healer? Or perhaps they're saying, am I a good healer or a psychic? What does Grey Eagle think about it?
I'm already with you here. I almost knew the question before you asked it. And again, you know, we've got somebody asking a question they already know the answer to, because you have beautiful healing hands, I'm told. Grey Eagle tells me you do procrastinate a little bit. You do go on a bit. You'd rather talk about it than actually do it. Just do more of it. Do more of what you do. Be more of who you are, is what he says. Be more of who you are, because you do have fabulous, fabulous healing energy. So I hope, you know, but you knew that, really. You didn't really need me to tell you that, did you? Really? But it's good to have confirmation, right? Yes, Chris.
I just want to say a couple of comments. So everyone that you've given a message to thus far are all saying in comments, thank you to you and Grey Eagle in various forms.
Thank you.
All right. Dee is saying, hello, Rosemary. I am feeling a bit blocked psychically lately. What do you recommend to release this kind of blockage?
There are always reasons why we're blocked, and those reasons are usually, you know, pertain to what is going on around us. So if there's a worry or a concern, or whether it's with you yourself or with your family, you know, you need to try if you can. Okay, we talked about faith earlier on, and in a room, if I go into a room of 2,000 people and say to them, hands up everybody who has faith, I'm going to say a good 90% of people who would come to see me would put their hands up and say, absolutely, I have faith. It's one thing to have faith, and it's another thing to live your faith. And oh boy, living your faith is very hard. That means, you know, sort of believing when it's difficult to believe, handing over when it's difficult to hand over. I think that in your case, my darling, I think that things are going on around you that are worrying or concerning you. So it's easy for me to say to you, let go and let God. But I do believe, you know, what I try to do is, if I have an issue or a problem and it's too big for me, or I'm too overwhelmed by it, or for some reason I feel that I'm not able to cope with it, what I very much try to do is I put it out there to the universe. I give it to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle. I give it to my daddy. I give whoever's out there wants to take it. And what I say is, this problem is too big for me. I can't manage it myself. I don't know what else to do. So I'm handing it over. Now, that's such an easy thing to say, but let me tell you, it's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're like me and you just like to interfere, or you like to be in control or whatever, because once you hand it over, it means that you really hand it over, and this is where your faith comes in. It means that you can't interfere. You can't interfere with whatever's going on. You have to trust God and trust that God knows what he's doing, that your family and friends in the spirit world, they know what they're doing, and you hand it over, and then you have to just keep quiet, step back, and allow things to unfurl as they are meant to do. So that's what I'm going to suggest that you do right now. So if you feel blocked, hand it over. It'll work itself out, I promise. Chris.
Mark had a follow-up to the question of earlier. So yeah. He said, Rosemary, you did answer the question that I knew in my soul about my visitors. You said last time I was on live with you that I had healing power within me. Can you elaborate on this? I love you dearly, from Tulsa.
Oh, thank you. Mark, what's to elaborate? You're a healer. Get on with it. you know, what I'm going to suggest, and it's not easy, what I'm going to suggest is you find maybe a group or people who are like-minded, and you know, watch and learn and grow. You have healing hands. You need a little guidance, you need a little help, and unfortunately I don't know anyone in Tulsa to recommend to you. So just when you find a teacher, you know, my story today was about this lady who believed in somebody when she absolutely shouldn't have. Be skeptical, be critical, don't be afraid to be critical. Even of me and even of what I will say to people, don't be afraid to be critical, don't be afraid to question, because, you know, that's the way you'll get to the truth of a thing. But also, don't believe something just because somebody says it's so. That's the point of the story today. You know, if you can find a good healer or somebody who can teach you, you know, that would be the way to go. Or you could attend my seminars, because we will be having a healing, absolutely, at least one, if not more than one, right, Chris? Several healing seminars as time goes on, and you know, if you join those seminars, you will be able to answer, to ask questions, and we will be able to go more in depth as to what, you know, what you should be doing and where you should be going. Again, if I can remind people, email me rosemary@rosemaryantair.com. If you ask to be put on my mailing list, we shall send you notifications when we're ready to do all these things. Chris, keep going.
Ricardo asks, hi, Rosemary. Good to see you from Spain.
Hi, Ricardo. I'm not sure if this is the Ricardo who keeps trying to call me. You can't, because it keeps interrupting and interfering, and I don't mean to. I don't mean to cut you off, but this is the way to do it. This is the way to ask the questions. But I'm thrilled that you're here. Yes, keep going. Sorry, Chris, I interrupted.
Oh, that's all right. I had lost a very special person 7 years ago, and I would love to know if I've got that person close to me. Thank you for your help and books. They are amazing. Oh,
Ricardo, thank you so much. Again, someone's asking the way they already know. You know perfectly well, Ricardo, that your friend is with you, that it's right by your side. You know that, absolutely. But there are other ways to go. You're from Spain. I don't know anyone in Spain to recommend that you go to see. You've got, if you can find a good medium, you know, to go and talk to chat to. But again, be careful, be skeptical. Don't believe it just because somebody says it's true. I know I'm sounding really picky when I say these things, but we all know that in this arena, there are more fakes than there are those who are real. But yes, you know, actually, I'm going to tell you, Ricardo, you've got a few people around you, and you've got a few people protecting you. So, thank you so much for connecting with us and being a part of this show. Keep going, Chris.
Dale says,
morning.
Hello, Rosemary.
Dale, good morning.
I'm a card reader. At times, I get exhausted after a reading. Any tips on how to maintain high energy? Yes, you know what you're not doing, don't you? You're giving. And you're forgetting that the one person you need to give to is yourself. I tell all of my students, all of my healers, all of my group, that I advocate selfishness. I know you all think that people like me with this gift, that we shouldn't be selfish, that we should share everything with everybody. Well, very nice for all of you to think it, not so nice for us who give it. First and foremost, give to your own self. Give healing to your own self. Give energy to your own self. Take a break. Say no. One of the hardest words to learn to say, when, especially, I'm going to speak about my own self here. When I first knew what I was able to do, and you know, and got over the look at me, I'm great, sort of, I got over that bit. But when you learn this amazing gift,
The one thing that you do not want to say to anybody is no. Sorry, I'm busy. Sorry, I'm too tired. Sorry, this is my day off. Sorry, no, I'm not working. I can remember going to an Easter ball several years ago, and there were tables of 12, and I was sitting in my beautiful big ball gown, and as was everybody else, and I was sitting at the table, and all of my group that I was with, they'd all gone off dancing, one thing and another, and I was just sitting there quietly enjoying. And 2 or 3 women came from an adjoining table, and they came and sat down, and they said to me, "So, we understand that you're a medium." And I said, "Oh, yes, that's right." And they said, "Well, go on then." I said, "What? What do you mean, go on?" Well, go on, do us then. If it's true, do us. So I looked at them and I said, this is a social event, and I was completely taken aback at the brashness of them, and I refused, and they kept pushing, and the more they pushed, of course, the more I said, "No way, Jose, I'm not going to do it." And then one of them shouted at me, "It's your job. It's your job to give. The reason you have a gift is so you can give it and share it with other people." So, I said very politely, "Well, then I'm not doing my job. I'm certainly not doing it tonight. I'm certainly not doing it with you, and you need to leave the table." And luckily, one of my group came up to the table, the guy that I was with at the time, and he was a big guy, and he looked at me and he looked at them. He said, "They're giving you any trouble, Rosemary?" And I said, and they left. You have to say no, because otherwise you're exhausted. You'd be exhausted. I can walk down the street. I can even go into a cinema. I've been in a cinema before now and given somebody a message halfway through a movie. I told a story the other day about being on a plane and being pestered on a plane, which I was glad I was. But so there are always people in the spirit world who want to, use you to hopefully to send a message to their loved ones. I get it. I quite understand it. I'm not resentful of it in any way, shape or form, but I have learned to say no. You, my lovely, need to learn to say no. Yeah, Chris?
I wanted to give you the time check. You have about 3 minutes before noon, but you do have a few questions left.
Oh, let's keep going, shall we? Shall we keep going, Chris? Are you okay to keep going?
Absolutely.
All right, then.
So Ravi has come back, and he has 3 choices that he's asking for your help with.
Uh-oh.
Should I be in a career in digital marketing versus learning and development versus being a trained medium psychic? What is better for me?
Well, let's go to the last one first. A trained medium and psychic. There are many good mediums out there who have been trained, if you like. But I think, the best are the natural. And if you've got to work at it, my view would be for you to work as a healer rather than as a medium. There's no reason why you can't do this in your part-time, your spare time. Build up your clientele, build up what you're doing until such point as you can then perhaps afford to do this full time. It's not my choice to make, it's your choice to make. And if you do have the ability to connect with the spirit world, and you do, and I think you do have the ability to heal, then you should know. Then you should know that, I always tell people, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. If the teacher hasn't come yet, it's because the student isn't ready. That we have choices to make, and it's not my job. Very often when I give people consultations, I'll give them a choice of 2 paths. You can do this or you can do that. I do help them out by saying, if you choose this path, this will happen, and if you choose that path, then this will happen. So I'm able to help them and guide them in that way. But I'm certainly, well, we don't have the time, and I certainly wouldn't be irresponsible enough to tell you what it is that you need to do in this short amount of time that we have. Go with your gut, go with your faith. You know, stay where you are until you know. If in doubt, don't do anything. Wait. Okay, Chris.
Annabella.
Morning, Annabella.
Thank you, Rosemary. Despite no signs, I get more and more the feeling that my beloved people and animals are with me, and that gives me such a good feeling that even my fear of death is a lot less.
Oh, brilliant.
I did see and feel my dog in my dream. I even felt his fur, and he was so happy. Thank you.
Oh, Annabella, this is what you're doing, which I do wish so many people would learn to do. It's not an easy thing to do, but you're listening without even realizing it. You're listening to your inner self. You're listening to your soul. You're listening to the heartbeat of your soul. And you're allowing that listening, and you're allowing your sense of knowing to let you know that this is what is happening. Really well done for you. Really, really well done. And I'm so pleased that your fear of passing is diminishing. We're all going to be a bit nervous. Look, at that moment in time when it's, you know, the nth time for me, if I have time to think about it, I'm going to think, gosh, I hope it was right in all of this. I'm pretty sure that I am, but, you know, I'm human. We all of us have our doubts, but I have faith, and I've had faith. I've never known a time, even when I was a little girl, I have faith in a higher being, and I'm putting my faith right smack there in his hands, as Gregor would say. That's what I'm doing. Keep going, Chris.
Ozma, AASMA.
Morning, Ozma.
Says, hello, thank you for your guidance and love. I am a hypnotherapist, and it's been long. I'm not being able to get any clients and grow my business. I don't know what's blocking me. Can you ask Gray Eagle what advice can he give? Thanks.
We just had this question from another young lady, and I don't know if you heard, Ozma, that you know, you sometimes it's not quite the right time, but you have to just literally hand it over to that higher power. Say what it is that you're concerned about. Say what it is that you're worried about. Ask for help. Hand it over, let them deal with it. And I promise you, it's when we start interfering that things go wrong, you know. When we try and make decisions and we don't even know what we're doing, or we leap too fast, or we don't leap soon enough. So hand over the problem and allow that higher power to help you and to create the environment that you absolutely need. And listen, pay attention to what is going on within you. You know, there's a great, very, very well-known therapist, Brian Weiss, who many years ago was a good friend of mine, and we had such a great rapport. So I do admire what you're doing. Just trust in yourself a little bit more. I think that's what it is. And let go and let God. Yes, Chris.
Mary just wants to let you know she's been enjoying your book, Proud Spirit. She's pretty sure it's when Gray Eagle helped you and your close friend find the spiritual land of Gray Eagle.
All right. Don't you think it's a great photo on the front of that book, Mary? That's me in the Superstition Mountains with my boots, with my stuff and all the rest of it. And oh boy, did we have a fabulous, fabulous time. I did actually tell a little story a few weeks ago on Storytime about that, one of the times that I had in Arizona when Gregor took me to the place where he lived and where his people lived. Amazing. And I love the book, but I love the photo. And boy, do I look young there. It's not that long ago, but anyway, keep going, Chris.
Carla's on.
Morning, Carl.
Carla.
Carla. Good morning, Carla.
Hi, Rosemary. Hope you're doing well. I'd like to know if I have some sort of gift like healing or another kind, and if Gray Eagle has a message for me. Thank you in advance.
Carla, healing hands without a doubt. Sometimes though this is from Grey Eagle, sometimes your head is so busy, buzzing around. You need to sit, you need to learn to be quiet within yourself, you need to listen, you need to listen to your heart, you need to listen to the heartbeat of your soul, and you will be guided. Remember what I said, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. I think you're approaching readiness, so be prepared. Chris?
Blanca says, hi, Rosemary.
Hi, darling.
My dad passed away a couple of years ago. Any messages from my dad? Thank you.
I was going to say we don't have time, but Grey Eagle took the words out of my mouth and put another word right in its place. So I'm going to say that this is from your dad, and from Grey Eagle's laughing at me. So this is from your dad via Grey Eagle. Love, 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 and more love than you could possibly know. Much more love than you could ever possibly know. He wasn't that good at saying what he felt, but he's trying to say it to you now. That's the message I'm told to give to you. So I hope you understand that, my love. Keep going, Chris.
Anouk from the Netherlands is here. Are the people in the spirit world the same age as when they died?
It varies. Anouk. I knew an Anouk from the Netherlands who came to Greece to one of my whatever it is events. Are you the same Anouk? I would love to know. If you're not, let me know. But the age of people, it really does vary. There are children who grow and they grow up and they become, let's say, adult. I knew I met a man who, when I saw him, he was in his mid-50s, as was his twin sister, who came to see me for a consultation. He had died as a baby. I saw him as a 56-year-old. So I suppose because of his twin, he was growing as she was growing. He was learning as she was learning. He told me all about her and about her daughters and about her family and so on and so forth. I ended up having the entire family come to see me. That's another story I can tell. Anyway, so that's the best I can do. Sometimes, yes, they grow. Sometimes, no. Chris?
Cheryl wants to know, why do humans, not all, but some, abuse animals? Any ideas?
Well, I think they're just, I hate that, don't you, Cheryl? Mean, spite. They've got to be miserable and unhappy people within their own selves, with a really particular and a nasty, cruel streak. But I think it's, gosh, why do people abuse children? If I had my way, I'd round them all up and throw them in a big ditch and tell Grey Eagle to deal with them. I don't know what to do, but why do people do these things? Usually because they're mean, they're aggressive, they're angry, they're spiteful, but it's easy for us to judge why people do things. We have to be careful not to judge, because we don't know what kind of childhood they had. And one thing I will tell you, that people who abuse their own children, who use the excuse, well, we were abused, so we didn't know any better, I can tell you absolutely that is nonsense. All that nature versus nurture stuff. If you've been abused as a child, you know what it feels like. You would not wish to put that on anyone else. Because of my upbringing, have been so much more protective of my daughter. Some might say overprotective. What do you think, Chris? Am I an overprotective mother and grandmother? You betcha I am. So, when you suffer yourself, you know what it feels like, and why would you ever do that same thing to somebody else? Chris, keep going.
Jamie's on.
Morning, Jamie.
Hi, Rosemary. I'm a psychic medium, and I am trying to get myself out there still. I have a lot of unique gifts and would love to reach as many people as I can to help them with my gifts. Being a single mom of 2 boys, it is quite limiting sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice?
Be patient. It may well be that you're not ready yet. Your time is not yet. You know, this is when we have to have faith. I know, you know, I'm not quite sure why everybody wants to be a medium, or so many people want to be a medium, because it is a tough job. It is a really, really tough job. And I feel that it's not about helping people. You know, my main concern is helping those in the spirit world and be a voice for them. I don't go out of my way to particularly help people. It's in my nature to sort of to be generous in that way, perhaps, but mediumship is not easy. It takes up every bit of your energy, and if you've got 2 boys, perhaps it's not quite the right time yet. But be patient and wait. If it's meant to be, it will be. And if the spirit world want to use you and they feel that you're right for this job, then your time will come. So have a little faith, my darling.
Vicky wants to know, do you have any messages for her?
We don't. If anybody else is asking for messages, we don't have messages. We're trying to get through that. We're almost at the end here. We're trying to get through as many of the questions as we can. We will, however, have to, you know, end in a few minutes. If you have a question and it's not been answered, if you'd like to send it to us, email me, rosemary@rosemaryautair.com. We can either answer that question for you on my Thursday morning show, which is 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Spirit World Sees All. That is on, you know, we do that in the same way that we do this. So you'll find it on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We may include some other venues that we might want to use in the future. But 11 a.m. lots of questions, or you can email us, and then, you know, when we get around to the emails, then absolutely we will ask questions that have been sent to us through email as well. So, you know, I'm one little person and Chris is one little person. We're doing the best we can. So keep going, Chris, for a few more minutes. How are you for time?
I'm doing okay, Rosemary. There's a couple of people on who have already asked 2 questions. They've got a third, but there's a couple of comments that you might want to hear.
Yeah.
Yes, you are always gorgeous. I loved your Arizona story. Please never forget how beautiful you are, from Mary.
Oh, Mary. Oh, how lovely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gosh, makes me feel so good. I'm having my hair cut tomorrow or sometime. Then I'll be more gorgeous. Keep going.
Jenny says, thank you, Rosemary. This time you offer to us freely is such a gift. I'm grateful. Blessings.
Thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate it. So nice to make this. So nice to hear these lovely comments.
All right. So the last 2, Mark wanted to know if Gray Eagle could describe who his spirit guide is.
I can tell you that it's someone in your family, Mark, who is guiding you and helping you. I wouldn't call them a spirit guide. I would say that it's your family, someone in your family, according to Greg, who is helping and guiding you. You need to find that person. And I also know from Grey Eagle that it is a male entity. So you figure it out. Yep.
And Elizabeth asks, can you see my dog, Jack? He was a Jack Russell, died from diabetes disease. Is well now. I miss you so much. Thank you.
No, I don't see him. I do have to tell you that I love dogs. I've been around dogs. I'm not a person who likes everybody's dogs, I have to say, but I love my own. You know, I'm very sort of prone to, if I'm going to have an animal or going to be around an animal, it would be a dog. Rather than anything else. It's just my preference. But many, many years ago, I've been bitten once by a dog, only ever once. And Elizabeth, it was a Jack Russell. bit my hand, and I had to go and have a tetanus injection in my bum, which wasn't very nice for me at all. But it really wasn't the dog's fault. He was at a children's party and he was hiding under a chair, and I tried to get him out, and he just lost his temper. One more kid coming at me, and he just lashed out and bit me. That's my memory of Jack Russell. So, Chris, anything else that we've got here?
Last one squeezed in. Aislinn says, unlike many of your questioners here, I'm a former psychic and medium. I loved it when I did it, but felt it led. Let me read this again. I loved it when I did it, but felt led to stop and focus on self-healing.
Yeah.
I am an artist now and love my life as is.
I'm so very, very glad that you sent this in to us. As I said a few minutes ago, I don't quite understand. I know why people want to be mediums, because it's one of the toughest jobs ever. You're having to deal with trauma and tragedy on a daily basis. You're having to deal with helping people to die, watching people die, watching people you've come to know and who you've come to love, dying sometimes in the most horrible and the most gruesome of ways. It is not an easy job by any means, and if you do not know how to protect yourself, and I'm fortunate because I have Gregor who absolutely helps me and protects me, then he's amazing. So thank you for that. We are out of time, Chris. So if you need to know any more, email me, rosemary@rosemaryantair.com. We appreciate you coming in. Please, 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 all of you, I shall be here next Saturday with another story at 11 a.m. Watch for it. If you want to be on our email list, please, you've got to email me, rosemary@rosemaryantair.com. If you want to know more about my books, if you want to know more about how to get a consultation, if you want to know more about our upcoming webinars, anything else about me, if you want to healing or anything else at all, email me, rosemary@rosemaryantair.com. We will do our very best to accommodate you. So in the meantime, thank you all. Thank you for all your lovely comments. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for participating. We shall see you all again, if not before. We shall see you on Thursday morning and same time, 11 a.m. The Spirit World Sees All, and we shall be back on Saturday for another story time, and who knows what that might be. I'll find something exciting for you, I think. So please, 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 all of you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Chris. My thanks to Gregor, as always. Please, all of you, have a very, very blessed rest of the day, and please have a very, very blessed rest of the weekend, everybody. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. And I'm going to try, if I can, not to put myself in there.